Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of SportsTalk Philadelphia. And it was not a great weekend to be a Phillies sports fan. The Phillies' playoffs hope are dwindling, but they are not out of it yet. The Eagles are unfortunately no longer undefeated, but they have to bounce back quick as they have to play division rivals and the Giants here coming up Thursday Night Football. We have all that and more in today's episode. Let's get right into it.
Shot a Rockefeller hover. Down go to war like a soldier. Yeah. Plus they tried to count me out thinking that it's over. But I got to fight. Rocky Balboa. Yeah, I got to fight like Rocky Balboa. Yeah, I got to fight. Rocky Balboa. Yeah, I got to fight like Rocky Balboa. Rocky Balboa with the fight. Yeah, I got to fight. Yeah,
Hello, everyone. I am your host, Braden Knapp, and I'm here joined with a full set of panelists here today. Here on my left, we have Chris Press. How are we doing?
I've been better, especially talking about Philly sports, but happy to be here.
That's fair. Over here, Deja, how are we doing?
I'm feeling well. Not too happy to talk about Philly sports, though.
Yep. Over on the end, Jaden Torres. How are we doing?
We're doing pretty all right. Just hoping for a bounce back at this point.
Definitely. There's a common theme here with the panelists, and I'm very much in agreement with it. Unfortunately, it was, as I said earlier in the intro, it was not the greatest of times to be an Eagles fan this weekend. Let's start off with the Eagles and the Birds. Bucked by the Broncos. It finally happened. They have lost a game. Eagles blew a 14 points in the fourth quarter lead. They blow the lead to make the end of the game 21-17. They outscored by 18 points in the fourth quarter. Hurts got sacked 6 times, and Smitty, at least he had a great game, getting 8 recs for 114 yards. But they got their first loss. The Eagles and their madness to somehow win all these games, their luck ended. Their luck finally ended, I guess, to say the least. It was not the prettiest. I mean, they were leading the fourth quarter 17-3, as you all can see right here by our graphic. So I thought this was going to be another win for the Eagles, but it was not. Chris, let's start with you. What's your overall thoughts of this game?
Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth. They had a double 2-score lead in the fourth quarter. Similar vibes to what happened last week, and just the overall theme with the Eagles' offense is they're great in the first half. They build up a lead, and they have been able to take it home to a win every week besides this week, and then the second half woes finally just caught up to him, and it was just a very disappointing outcome, especially second half. Like you mentioned, Hurts got sacked 6 times, and some of them you can blame the O-line, but some of them he had time and he just couldn't find anybody open, couldn't make a play. But yeah, overall, not a great finish by the Eagles.
Definitely not. Deja, I know you have some things to say. Let's hear it.
I just feel like, all in all, once again, the Eagles just weren't on the same page. And I'm not at all going to blame the referees because it was up to the Eagles to execute, and they didn't. They should have called it on the Zach Bond play, and then they called it when Devontae Smith got first down, which put them in the red zone, and they could have possibly scored a touchdown to win the game. But it was just very sloppy football, and defense had to hold the offense accountable, and it was a mess all around. And like you mentioned, the sacks, I feel like most of them were on the offensive line, but Jalen Hurts does have to get out the pocket a little quicker.
Definitely. And Jaden, what was your thoughts on their first loss this season?
Well, that first half was okay. Like, you're like, okay, it's serviceable. But then the second half, you can see right here, this drive, like, it was ugly and it wasn't like the greatest thing. There was penalties that should have been called. It was a rare mistake by Zach Bond at that point. Zach Bond rarely ever gets called for a penalty, right? So that hurt, but the Dallas Goedert call, I'm still upset by that. I was fuming when I saw this, but at the end, this little Hail Mary from the 29 that you're seeing right now, it was a great play by Patrick Surtain. I got to give him that. The fact that he was able to swat it out Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown's hands, that is impressive. And he did it all game, basically, to A.J. Brown. He was in his own world.
He really was. And you guys touched on it. I was going to go right into the refs. Obviously, I'm not a fan of refs myself, but you can't blame a refs for losing the game. One thing you maybe can blame is one of your best players only getting the ball 6 times. Let's talk about Barkley or Barely. Where was he? I don't know, but Barkley only had 6 rushes the entire game. That's right, you heard me right. Only one rush of the attempt in the second half. That's just terrible. And the last game with less than 10 rush attempts was December 2023. Obviously, the one good play he had a long touchdown play, obviously, receiving. You see it often from Saquon, but it was nice to at least see him have an impact on the game. What, 6 times with Saquon? Dobbins had the ball 20 times and was able to get, I think, 80 yards and a touchdown. How do you only give Saquon the ball 6 times? I don't know. Deja, do you know why? Only 6 times, only Saquon? I don't know.
I know why, and everyone might not be a fan of why I think why, but just with all the injuries on the O-line, we can't run the ball. It's not working, and I know Saquon Barkley's injured, and that happened before halftime, so I truly believe he didn't get the ball because of the injury and because we needed to throw the ball. We can't keep running the ball. It's not working anymore.
Well, I mean, as you said, they try to at least change it up a little bit. It's even with the line, it's still just it's crazy that you look and it's only Barkley with only 6 attempts like that. It's almost like what are we doing? Even I was watching the game. The Broncos defense is doing a great job of holding him, but it's like, maybe let's pitch it outside then. Let's do something else. I don't want to spend the whole time. We got to go on the next week. Let's forget about all this Broncos. That didn't happen. We're talking about the next opponent review coming up. They have Week 5 at the Giants. It's an 8 o'clock game. It is Thursday night football. Let's go. The Eagles have won 7 of the last 8 matchups against the Giants. And obviously the key matchup here is the Eagles O-line and the Giants defensive line. Obviously, we know the Giants have an amazing defensive line, so one thing we'll give them, one of the few things they got going for them. I'm not really too worried, but obviously you can't just write them off, especially with this Eagles team right now. Chris, what's your thoughts on going in this game?
I think it's got to be a get-right game. I mean, we just mentioned Saquon. They barely used him in the last game. Look, I mean, he's probably going to be used way more in this game, or at least they're going to try to. It's a revenge game. Going back to New York, always look for him to dominate against the Giants. I think they're going to get right. I think they win this game 24-10. I think the Eagles' defense really stifles the Giants, but I don't know if the offense fully gets on track, but I think it's a win for the Eagles.
And going over you, Deja, how are we feeling? Let's bounce back real quick.
Well, like you said, their D-line is very well, so that kind of makes me nervous, especially with the way we've been playing offensively. But we can pull out a win, but if we don't win, it's not going to be a blowout.
I'm kind of agreeing, more leaning towards that. Yeah. But let's hear with you from Jaden. What do you think?
So the Eagles were at this point last year, right, where they were 3-2. They were struggling. They just beat the Browns 20-16, and then they had a bye week, or not. They had the bye week before, but then they went to New York and they destroyed the Giants. And from there, that's when the Eagles picked up, and that's what we remember most last year. We remember the Eagles dominating, right? So I think this is a big step, right? Especially the Giants, who have a good defensive line, but the reason they struggled against the Broncos defensive line so much is because I think Nick Bonito is actually the defensive player of the year so far, front runner. So that's why. But I think this is going to be a great game for the Eagles. They're going to dominate. I believe the Giants. They didn't beat the Saints, who are bottom 3 worst teams in the league. So I think this is a game the Eagles will dominate.
Definitely. Going over next week, let's hope when we come back, we did dominate against the Giants. We obviously should, but you unfortunately never know. But that is unfortunately all the time we have for the Eagles today. Let's talk about another, unfortunately, losing team. That is our Phillies. The Phillies failing fast. Unfortunately, the Phillies are right now currently down 0-2 in NLDS. They blew a 3-0 lead in Game 1. The series now shifts to LA, where Phillies are on the brink of elimination. We see Game 3 at Dodgers, October 8th kickoff at 9 p.m. That's a late one, obviously, for us Philadelphians. And then the starting pitching matchup tonight is Nola versus Yamamoto. It's something. Well, at least they made playoffs, but I mean, I don't even know where to start with this team. Chris, I'm just going to go to you. What are the Phillies doing?
They are not playing up to what everyone thought they would. It's just been an excruciating 2 games to watch, because it's not like they're going in there and they're getting rolled. I mean, they lost Game 1 by 2 runs. They lost Game 2 by 1 run. I mean, and they in Game 2 they waited to put all their offense in the 8th and 9th inning. Castellanos, of all people, had a big hit in the 9th. Kepler's been good this series, JT, but it really comes down to those top 3 hitters of Turner, Schwarber, and Harper. You're not going to win when those top 3 guys, you have 1 hit in last night in Game 2, and then in Game 1, Harper's the only one that had a hit. I mean, it's just not going to cut it. And it's the same thing every year with the Phils. It's just the top of the lineup going out sad in the biggest moments. And I mean, hey, it's not officially over. They got 1 more game tonight, and who knows? If Aaron Nola somehow pitches the game of his life, you get a gem from him. You get Sanchez again in Game 4. Then it becomes interesting. But I mean, just not ideal for the Phillies to be down 2-0 going back to LA with Yamamoto. But hey, at least they're wearing the powder blues, right?
Yeah, I mean, they are a really nice jersey. I mean, yeah, you said it. The Phillies dug a hole, a really big hole at that, actually. It's something, because as you said, the top 3 hitters, it's like, what are we doing? The bottom of the order, it seems to be okay here. But the top, I mean, our top 3 guys, seemingly who you pay the most, are absent, it seems like. They're not absent, they're there, but they're not hitting. Deja, what's your thoughts on all these top hitters not hitting?
It's extremely frustrating, considering they get paid the most on the team. So you're literally getting paid to do nothing. Really don't really care what you do during the regular season. The postseason, you have to go in strong. You have to be healthy. You have to go in wanting to win. And right now, it's just not giving that. And I feel like our pitchers are kind of holding us up, but our bats are getting cold again, and we can't get anyone hitting.
As you said, I mean, pitching is not the greatest. We've talked about this leading up to the playoffs. We know that. What's our batters doing? That's the thing. We know the pitching is not going to be there, so that means our batting has to be there. Jaden, what's your thoughts on these first 2 games?
The batting, terrible. We already pointed that out. But the pitching, it doesn't get bad until the later innings, and then it just flops. Like, the Dodgers have 1 good inning, and the Phillies don't know how to respond to that. The fact that, like, JT has been the best hitter in this series so far is not the best thing. I feel like with the top 3 that you're talking about, Turner, Schwarber, and Harper, every time they go up to bat, they're going for home runs. They need to just take what you can get. They're swinging for the fences. Try to go for what you can get and get as much people on base. Like, Trey Turner is one of the best stealing players in the whole league. He's one of the fastest players in the league. Take advantage of that. Let him steal the bases. Let him get a single. Let him get a double. He's going to get it, and let him steal base. Because he had over 30 stolen bases this year, and then nobody else comes close to what Trey Turner does. So I think for at least Trey Turner's sake, go and try to get on base and steal. That's all. I think that's what the game plan have to do to beat the Dodgers in LA.
Exactly. I mean, as we said, they dig themselves a really big hole here. And unfortunately, tonight, starting to dig ourselves out of that hole is Nola. Chris, how do you feel about Nola pitching tonight?
So there is a world where Nola goes out there and gives you a great start. He has experience in the playoffs, but my thing is, like, is Ranger Suarez on the team? Like, you say he's available to come out of the bullpen Game 1. You say he's available don't use him. Game 2, you don't use him. Guess that they said tonight he's going to piggyback off Nola if there's anything wrong, but I'm hoping Nola can give us a gem, but hopefully Ranger piggybacks it a little bit better.
It's like, then that's a conversation. It's like, well, why don't we just start him first? And why even mess with Nola? I like Nola, but unfortunately, you see his ERA and you see what he's been doing this year. It's not very pretty. But unfortunately, that is all the time we have for the Phillies. Let's hope we come by next week. We are not out of the playoffs, and we are continuing on to NLDS. Unfortunately, that is all the time we got. Let's go on to the Sixers talk. That is right, they are still in the beginning of their season. Let's talk some Sixers storylines. Maxey evolution here. Going from co-star to face of the franchise. Obviously, the youth movement, VJ Edgecombe, Jared McCain, and Adem Bona's roles are obviously increasing this year. And then the injured East. All the top contenders are dealing with major injuries, and not only the East, but going over the Western Conference as well. Just honestly, it's safe to say this whole year for basketball is kind of wide open on both sides of the conferences. But there's a lot to talk about with this Sixers team. I mean, as we said, obviously there's Maxey, but the injuries, long list of injuries. Going to you, Chris, at least right now, how are you feeling with all the Sixers injuries and going into the season?
It's a great question. Weirdly, optimistic still. I don't know. I still think Tyrese Maxey takes another step. He has a very good season. Stinks McCain, we don't know his availability yet for opening night, but he's a big bright spot for this squad. Adem Bona, he's looked great in the preseason. Him and another guy, VJ Edgecombe, they've had a nice little connection, throwing a couple lobs to each other. But yeah, obviously title isn't the goal this year. You're just kind of looking to see what you have with the Sixers. A lot of young talent again, but weirdly optimistic. I think Maxey has another awesome year.
And that's a perfect little segue here. Deja, I mean, we said it here in the storyline. Maxey, do we think he can be the face of this franchise?
Maxey will always be the face of the Sixers franchise, but it just seems like Philly teams can't beat New York. I don't know what that it's about, but their performance wasn't too bad against New York. It definitely was a great start, even though we lost. I always love to see Maxey out there and our new VJ. He performed very well. I was happy to see him there, but Jared McCain is very concerning with his injuries. It seems like it's happening all the time. So.
Oh yeah, there's something with those Sixers doctors. That's what I just keep saying now, because it just seems like it's never ending with all that. But I'm glad you said it. Unfortunately, like always, Philly, they can't beat the Knicks. The first two games of the little opening series, they lost to the Knicks, and they finished off the preseason playing the Magic and the Timberwolves. I mean, it's been nice to see, but see all the guys out there moving around. But losing both games to the Knicks, not even splitting that, it's just preseason. It doesn't matter, but also, it's not the best to look at. But going to you, Jaden, how at least the beginning of their season and the preseason look to you?
I mean, I feel like Tyrese Maxey took over the face of the franchise title since last year when Embiid just went down, and we see this every year with Embiid. And then VJ Edgecombe looking pretty solid. I still don't think he's going to win Rookie of the Year. I think it's Cooper Flagg. Jared McCain, I said it, Jared McCain's actually really good. I like Jared McCain a lot. I think he's a potential big second star that they have. And then Adem Bono actually, I think, has a big year, because with Joel Embiid's injury history, right, you never know what you're going to get with Joel Embiid, right? It could be 60 games, it could be 10, right? So I feel like him as the backup, power forward center, right, he's going to take over and fill in for Embiid, and that's going to be huge. So if Adem Bono actually does a pretty solid, the Sixers can actually make the playoffs and, don't have to worry about the play-in.
You said it right there, the play-in, because that's just, it's been a thing with the Sixers team. It's okay, they should be a playoff team, but they just play the whole year as a play-in team. But as we said, I mean, this team, the East is open, kind of wide open. Obviously, the Celtics, we don't got to worry about it. Tatum's done. We don't got to worry about Celtics, and they blew up literally their entire team. So it's open. Obviously, there's more teams in the East. I mean, I don't want to say like our chances, but as long as we can say the top guys and Embiid, maybe we don't need Paul George to play to his contract. It's not worth that contract. But at least something, at least 15 points a game, at least something. Deja, do you think this team could be maybe one of the higher seeds in East Conference?
No, I can't confidently say that. We did mention that we have all these good players here, but it's also going to be difficult for them to push forward with that.
Definitely. And unfortunately, that is all the time we have to talk about our Sixers here today. Let's hope next week their preseason continues to be good and they start their season well. Now let's get into one of our favorite new segments with Sports Talk Philly First Take. Let's get into it. Starting with, who do we think is the best NFL team? I'll start off. Obviously, there's been a lot of talks and a lot of results, honestly. I mean, a lot of the big games. Eagles lost, the Bills lost. Things happen. I'm still going to go with the Bills. I just think Josh Allen, I don't know how. I think an alien took him over. I guess it was just Haley Steinfeld what did it for him. But he looks amazing. I mean, they added the receiving core, obviously. They look amazing. Defense continues to be dominant. And I honestly just don't want to say the Eagles. I just don't want to do that because obviously I don't think they've been playing like the best, even with the record. But going over you guys, what do we think here?
That's very fair. I mean, the Bills, it's not a bad answer, but I am still going to go with our Philadelphia Eagles. Rough loss against the Broncos, but that was just a trap game. I mean, they're still the defending Super Bowl champs. They were rusty like this last year. You know, they started out 2-2. Sirianni was booing the fans last year. You haven't had to deal with any of that this year. You know, you're still 4-1. You still have big wins. You still beat the Rams. Cowboys, I know they're not great, but that's still a division rival that you beat. I still believe it's the Eagles. I still think next week is truly going to be like a statement win for them to remind everybody. But what does everyone else think? What do you think, Deja?
I think that I wanted to agree with you and say the Eagles. I really did. But as long as we keep our offensive coordinator there, I can't confidently say that. So I'm going to go with the Detroit Lions. I think they've been looking very well defensively and offensively. They've been very explosive and powerful. So I'm excited to see them throughout the season.
Okay, so when it comes to me, I saw this and I was like, okay, I wrote down 4 teams, right? This is the top 4 teams I think is Lions, Bills, Eagles, and I think the best team in the league so far this year, the Colts. I'm a believer in the Colts.
Okay.
They are one A.D. Mitchell fumble away from being 5-0. This is true. I think Indiana Jones, that's his nickname now, right? He has become one of the surprising, he got a good shot of just winning anything. And Jonathan Taylor, offensive player of the year, he is dominating. The Colts are amazing this year. If we're going based on this year, I'm going with the Colts, right? Everyone else has been a little bit of up and down season so far.
I mean, that's a pull. Obviously, they've been really good. That's my only thing with the Colts. It's just, if we're going to go off of right now who's been the best team, it's probably actually been the Colts. It's just my only thing with going down the stretch of the season. Yeah, I'm not putting my money on Danny Dimes. No way.
Yeah, you
He's had
can't.
a great stretch so far, but this is definitively the best stretch of his career. Jalen Hurts has done this year in, year out. His biggest games are always in the Super Bowl. Do you think the Colts have a chance to get it to the Super Bowl or win their conference?
Or just currently?
Currently, they're the 1 seed in the AFC,
Yeah,
right?
true. Yeah.
So I'm going based off what I've seen so far this
Okay.
season, right?
All right.
If we want to go in general, right, it's probably the Bills, right? But you never know, right? This season has been weird. It's been confusing. The Chiefs, the dynasty that's going on right now, are terrible and not playing their best football. So I'm going based on this year. I'm taking the Colts as the best team in the league.
Yeah. I feel like Buffalo always chokes when it comes down to the.
Well, that's also and not to rip on you, but the Lions have a beautiful team. Because I feel like Jared Goff finds a way to make that team not beautiful anymore.
Yeah.
There's so many good teams. I also think the Packers, even though that was a bad loss to the Browns, terrible loss.
Yeah.
I still think they're a really good team and a sleeper team. But we have another segment to talk about. This is another saying it here in Philadelphia. We have Rob Thompson. Stay or go. Obviously, series is still happening, but we play a hypothetical game. They lose tonight, get swept in the series. How do we feel about Rob Thompson? I'm going to be more on the other side of get his butt out of town, only because the Phillies they've been on this brink. of winning for the last 3-4 years, and they should have won. And now, after this year, if they don't win, they probably won't have a chance to win for a couple of years, to rebuild their team a little bit. I don't know. The only thing is, though, he's been there a long time. Obviously, they love him in the clubhouse. That's a tough one. I want to hear what our panelists have to say.
I understand the frustrations with Topper, and if they get swept, my answer will probably change. But as it currently stands, the Phillies they went a decade without making the playoffs. And I know it's been disappointing the past couple seasons, but just you got to think of where this team was. They're the losingest franchise in American sports. They have the most losses ever. Rob Thompson took over and made them. This is probably one of the best eras the Phillies have had outside of like Mike Schmidt and the Jimmy Rollins era. He gets them in the playoffs every year. They win 90-plus games year in and year out. I know it stinks that he's not getting, the big one done, but it feels like an Andy Reid situation where like year in and year out they have a shot and they're great. But I don't know. I would keep him. What do you guys think?
I think he needs to be on the first flight out. He needs to be gone. Just like with Nick Sirianni, I feel like it was the talk that if he doesn't get the Eagles to the playoffs, then he has to go. If he doesn't go to the Super Bowl, he has to go. He brought them there. He proved himself. Rob is not proving himself. And we have a decent team. We're going to the playoffs. Cool. We need to go to the World Series. We need to win. Us Philly fans are tired of it.
So I think he should stay, right? I think if anybody needs to get fired, it's the GM, Dave Dombrowski, right? Am I saying that right? Okay. He took over in 2018, or not 2018, like 2020, 2021, right? He was the GM of the Red Sox when they won the World Series, right? Huh?
And the Tigers 10 years prior. So he has a proven history of, doing it year in and year out.
But ever since he's taken over the role of the Phillies, he's been trading every young prospect they have for a win-now situation, and then those players come in and they just don't perform in the playoffs. So I think that's the issue right now.
It's a talking point to say, and unfortunately, that is all the time we have on today's episode. Next week, we'll see if it's Rob Thompson's time to go or not. We will see, unfortunately, but that is all the time we have on today's show. If you would please check us out on Instagram and Twitter at SportsTalk LTV. As I said, stay tuned next week. Let's hope our Phils are still in the playoffs, and let's hope the Eagles bounce back from their first loss. Thank you, and goodbye.